enough to care. It is Wednesday. We'll have JC here in a minute. We have Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. Got a lot to talk about today. A lot of turmoil going on in the state of
Turmoil.
Texas.
Turmoil.
Let's go to
Yeah.
the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we're joined by I don't know if it's Willie Stargell or Bill Matlock or Kent DeColvey. Now he's on the Pirate bandwagon. I assume they're won 5 to 7 in
No,
a row.
no, actually, that'd be the Astros, but I don't know if I can wear that hat just yet. The Pirates, yeah, they're kind of cool. Love these old 70s version hat of the Pirates. I had the black and gold P hat as well, which they're currently wearing. QB, the Schmuck Award of the day goes to your boy from Texas A&M, Schloss.
Oh,
What a scam. And you know what? The media is not so much surprised that he would take a job at Texas because that's a very attractive opportunity and blah, blah, blah. It's way he handled the reporter in the post game press conference when the reporter asked the question that had to be asked and was doing his job. And Schloss goes, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M, basically moving 200 miles from TCU to College Station. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed his mind. And 15 minutes later, he is then employed by Chris.
well, you know what's even crazier is I read what's the guy? Is it Kendall Rogers that's like really deep in college baseball?
Yes, he does the D1. Yes.
Yeah. So I saw this morning after when I woke up real early.
Yeah.
He said this has been a done deal before the regional started, not the super regionals. The regional tournament's been a done deal.
Isn't it something? Those kids, yeah, they're just playing their hearts out for him and that school, and they came very, very close. They won run. By the way, those poor bettors that had the under 10.5 in that game lost to a free base, a balk, and a wild pitch in the last inning. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? What also is crazy is it's not crazy. I guess the only thing that I can look at from a positive standpoint in this is that he is going to coach and work for his old boss that was at TCU.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, but
don't go running your mouth about I took the
job
at A&M.
I agree 100% with that. He's known. I'm sure he's taken his whole staff, so I'm sure they've known. He should have just said in that post, "I'm not no comment. We're talking about the loss of the national championship." That's all he should have said.
But see, here's Texas doing the Texas things that Texas.
Oh, it's a Texas thing, and you like the Longhorns. Don't kid yourself.
And here's the University of Texas on the day of the final game, the pinnacle of the college world of the college baseball season, the championship day. And what do? They fire their coach. They take the news flow and bring it toward them. And then rumors go rampant on game day about either Vitello or Schloss going to Texas. Texas is doing Texas stuff. This is why Nebraska hates Texas. And this is why Texas is now coming to the SEC. And they're going to start throwing their weight around, and they're showing their muscles with their new streaming network, the Longhorn Network, which was an abysmal failure on cable outlets because they couldn't get distribution. So now they're going to stream. They're going to roll into the SEC flexing, and they're going to be the Texas Longhorns that everybody in the Big 12 hated. But it's not going to work in the SEC because guess what? They're not going to go 11-1, 10-2, 12-0 on a consistent year-by-year basis in this league. I just don't think they will. But this is Texas, and this is what Texas does. And that's why A&M hates them. That's why Oklahoma really doesn't care for them. And that's why Nebraska left the Big 12, period. That's it.
Would you say the folks on the 40 acres there in Austin?
The 40 acres.
The 40 acres.
Yeah.
They're now clearly the most arrogant school in the Southeastern Conference.
Well, they were the most arrogant school in the Big 12 and probably in the country. But then, let's look at all the success they had hiring football coaches before Sark. How about zero? And so since Darrell Royal and then, of course, Mac Brown, they've been kind of a big zero in football too. But now they've caught a little momentum. They've got players. They went to the college football playoff, and they've got the best offensive play caller in the game today. And so they should be pumping their chest, saying, here we come, SEC, get ready. We're going to start hammering you guys on a week-to-week basis. But they're going to find out that grind of LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, even one of the Mississippis is not playing Baylor, Texas Tech, Houston, BYU, Okie State, and Iowa State. It's not the same. It's going to be a different world for them. And they're going to learn that this season and next season and the season after that. But they are very good. They are going to be one of the top 3 favorites to win the national title this year, in my opinion, from the polls. And, that's they're coming in hot, man. And so they go and steal this A&M coach. And just think, what's it going to be like at Texas A&M when the Longhorns show up for a baseball series? And this is a guy who literally went to the Texas A&M Board of Regents and said, get me a stadium off campus and let's put 25,000 fans in the ballpark. Let's get that going. And all along, all he was waiting for was David Pierce to get fired at Austin, Texas, so he could go there. And there it is. And so that kind of stole some of the thunder, but it shouldn't, because Tennessee is the best team in baseball. They're the national champions, and they won their first national title since 1999. So you got to hand it to the Big Orange. Danny White has got a thing going up there at UT. Their football program is back. They had Morgan Wallen. They had Peyton Manning. They had Josh Heupel. They had everybody, the ghost of Pat Summitt. Everybody was at that ballpark in Omaha to watch them win their national title. They knew they were going to win it. Everybody in America knew they were going to win it. They were a 2-1 favorite to win against Texas A&M. Here goes Tennessee. Vitello is now the hot name in baseball circles, and he's going to get a big raise. Danny White's going to have to pay him, and Danny White, since coming from UCF, has really made a statement at the University of Tennessee. They think they're going to win 10 games too, QB. Just listen to John Adams up there in Nashville. He's the guy talking about, watch out for Tennessee. We've got 2 games on our schedule. Well, he says we got 2 games on our schedule that I'm really worried about, and that's about it. That gets us to 10-2. If we lose both of those, and we'll probably win one of them, to go 11-1. So the Vols are already on their way to the playoff.
Yeah. No, Danny White's done a good job with their programs up there. There's no question, because Tennessee a few years ago, they were terrible in everything.
They were terrible. Before Josh Heupel, man, they were as pathetic as Texas hiring football coaches. I mean, it's just awful. So
what if I had this discussion with a buddy yesterday, JC.
Yeah,
do you like Vitello or no?
I do. I think he's fantastic. I think he's honest. He gives you the best interview. He's not aloof. And he tells you
there's a lot of people that don't like him because of his antics.
He's brash.
But I compared him to Coach Spurrier.
I think it's a
because if he's your coach, you freaking love him. If he's the opposing team's coach, you hate him.
And isn't that what you want, right? I mean, you want to be relevant. You want people not to like it in a certain friendly way, because that means they're actually thinking about you and they fear you and they respect you. And let's look at the job this guy did. Tennessee was one of the poorest baseball programs the SEC has ever seen before he got there. He goes basically 500 in his first year. And then in the second, third, and fourth year, he becomes a national power and finally gets over the hump to win the title. And there was no doubt. So I think he's a fantastic, fantastic coach. And I think Texas should have gotten him. If I was Texas, I would have thrown the cows and the oil wells at him and said, Schloss, you stay at A&M. We're going to go with this guy at Tennessee. But that's not the way they went. And Danny White is relieved by that, because he would have had to call Morgan Wallen and Peyton Manning and all these other guys to try to find the money to pay that dude to keep him there, because the Vols just won a national title, first one since '99. They haven't done anything in that athletic program. I mean, beating Alabama by 1 point on some bad officiating was the biggest thing that happened in Knoxville in 20 years. It really is. And so now they win a national title, so they have 2 big things that's happened in the last 5 years.
And Todd says on Facebook Live, and like Spurrier, he doesn't care if his opponents love him. I think it's a great comparison
well, you did a good job. You did a good job in that brain of yours. Yeah, let's
pat myself on the back.
Yeah, I'll pat you there on your back. There you
go. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We got JC. We'll have Mike Morgan. They're both going to be on the Titan and More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Yeah. Real quick before we get out of baseball.
Okay.
Sully is like 6th or 7th on the pay scale in the SEC.
That's going to have to change.
They're going to have to do something.
Oh, that's got to change. That's got to
Yeah.
change. The other thing I wish would change in baseball, and Mike could probably speak to this, is this 11 and a half scholarships. Now, I know
Well,
money's going to be
yeah, I
tight.
think that's getting ready to go away.
Well, it probably will, but money's getting tight with these budgets, right? These athletic budgets. So what are they going to do? They're going to add games to the basketball tournament. They're going to find ways to raise revenue, blah, blah, blah. But baseball needs to be taken care of a little bit better. There was a huge, huge attention given to baseball, even during the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs. Baseball was very popular. ESPN, I think, did very good numbers. I think you look at that stadium, you look at the attendance, and you look at the following online for the College World Series. Dude, it's a great event. Baseball needs better support through the university scholarship system if they can find the money for it, and I think they're going to have to somehow, because it's just too good, man. You can't let it. I mean, although they'll probably say, well, look, it's running really well right now. Why do we need to expand scholarships? I just think it would be the right thing to do for the athletes.
Yeah, text on the Titan MR text on regarding baseball. What are my thoughts on Michael Robertson going in the transfer portal? None. We've had a bunch of kids go in the portal. It's Sully's way of kind of like cutting them. I say it all the time. He had a great run there at the end, but he's not a great hitter, really good defensive center fielder. They already have, I'm telling you right now, we already pretty much have our lineup for next year. We only going to have three guys. You know,
three guys coming back.
People hate the portal. Then when they come to your team, people love the portal. So we got a lot of good players coming into the portal. You're only going to have Cade Curlin, Colby Shelton possibly, and Luke Heyman will be the only guys that'll be familiar for the Gators from this year's team.
So QB Vitello had 6 portal guys on that roster at Tennessee. I mean, this is just
it's rent players year to year is what it is nowadays.
Well, you can recruit the traditional way, or you can recruit teams from other people's rosters, and that's what the portal is, right? So that's the two ways you find players to compile your roster. You get them from someone else, or you go and recruit the traditional way, and you can do both. But I think Vitello, what makes him so good is that he actually loves this process. He likes it. He likes wheeling and dealing in the portal, and I think he loves to go out and recruit. And Tennessee has done a very impressive job with this guy, and this guy's been very impressive. So you have to admire him. And I think O'Sullivan absolutely needs to be one of the top 3 paid coaches in baseball in this conference. You've got Tim Corbin, who makes more money than any of them, and deservedly so, I think.
I'm sure Schlossnagel surpassing that.
Well, I'm sure with Texas now he will, but it's like A&M could have made him the most paid coach. But you're going to get Vitello now. It's going to be one of the top. And I think Kevin, with his pedigree, with his record, and with his championship in 2017, has to be regarded as one of the higher paid coaches in baseball. Van Horn's going to be highly paid at Arkansas. I think Ray Tanner's going to pay his guy at South Carolina. I mean, it's just the way of the world now. If you're going to get quality coaches, you're going to get guys that are going to bring you to the promised land. The money's got to come. And that's why, that's why these coaches are getting what they get, because this is why Oklahoma locked up Venables for 6 years, because in the event Oklahoma does go 12-0, they don't want to lose them to some other place without getting compensated for it. And I guess that's the reason. I don't know. He was in the middle of a 4-year contract I thought was pretty good, but they wanted to give him a raise for a 10-3 season. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Chad says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, all the players who were leaving were told to leave. Bottom line, yes, they were.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because what's crazy is, just think about it. It's not as crazy as what happened with Schlossnagel, having this deal being done before the regional, basically postseason play started. But the Gators were signing guys out of the portal while we were still playing in Omaha. Just think about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you need a whole new department for roster building. Yeah. I just don't like the way Schlossnagel berated that reporter.
No, I don't either. I
thought it was real chintzy and showed his character, and I'm surprised.
So QB, why isn't that baseball only gets 11 full scholarships? I've never understood that. Sully's not going anywhere. He will not take that job he's not taking the job at Texas. His field. We're going to have to pay him though. Softball's the same way. It makes no sense to me. I've never understood it. I don't have the answers for you. I think that will change here in the next couple of years. All right, switching gears a little bit to football. Russell's question for me on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Shane, I understand it and agree with you about DJ's playing time, DJ Lagway.
Oh,
However, if he's going to be the number 2 QB, don't we need to get him some game reps in case Mertz gets hurt again? No.
all right.
I'm a full believer that you play your players. You do not just put guys in the game unless the game is out of hand. Okay, if the game is out of hand, yes, but you just don't put players in just to put them in. I've never believed in that, and I will never change my thought
this
process on that.
this really listening to you and Buddy yesterday, I just wanted to throw my chair through the fence or through the screen. The only thing that matters, and you're 1,000% right about this. The only thing that matters is you getting your best 11 on both sides of the ball, your best 22 players on the field as often as possible, because winning games is the only thing that's going to save this program and that's going to matter right now. It does not matter who plays and who doesn't, as long as the coach believes he's got the best players out there at all times. And you're right. If there's garbage time to put some guys in there to get some minutes, I'm all for it. But you have to play your best guys, and you just don't throw a guy in there for a series or two and take the quarterback out of his rhythm. You do not do that. You keep it going. Do you see? Look, how many times did Justin Fields see the field when Jake Fromm was playing for Georgia? Not that many.
He went in for like a fake punt or something. He was the
right.
up back.
It screwed everything up. But
yeah.
Kirby knows this. You're 1,000% right. You have to win.
It's amazing to me. Like ever since I started doing this podcast and doing like pregame and postgame shows for the Gators, and it's not just the Gators. This is across the board. You know, they always say the most not most important, but the most loved player on a team is the backup quarterback.
That's right.
More people worry about who the backup quarterback is than they do their starter.
Well, Tebow in his first year had one play. It was quarterback power, and he basically did nothing. And he had that little jump ball pass. That's cool. All right, but look, the one thing that's going to fix all problems, and that goes from culture to the way this program is looked upon throughout the country, is winning games. They have to beat Miami, and I hate saying this with absolutes. I know that they could go 11-1 if they lost Miami. Sure, mathematically you could, but realistically, you have to win that game. Winning will solve every single problem that people talk about. And getting the best players, which is Graham Mertz behind center, is the best way you can win a football game. And finding 7 guys up front and maybe some corners who can tackle on a run, those are the best ways you can win a football game, is to play defense and score points and get the players that do that the best for you in the game at all times. Do not fool around with your roster and play the guy. Look, this is college now, dude. We don't worry about what mom and dad thinks back there in the crowd about their kid not getting in on this third down play. It's about winning games, and that's what Florida has to do if they're going to turn this whole program around. And winning that first game against Miami is absolutely a must.
It's imperative.
That's a good word. It's imperative.
Yeah. Justin on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, I think we can see the impact of Florida victorious already with the portal activity in baseball and softball this year compared to last year. Agreed 100%. As I mentioned on one of the programs, Joe from Titan MRI is very involved with Florida victorious on the softball side. And they've brought in a stud pitcher in the portal. They brought in a stud shortstop in the portal. And obviously we know what recruiting class Tim is bringing in. So like I said, the rumors are, the word out there is that the Lady Gators will be your preseason #1 team, which is hard to believe. I bet they're going to be #2. I still think you got to put Oklahoma there.
Probably.
All right. So
right
JC, speaking of football, in the mighty Southeastern Conference now, baby. I'm going to tell you after you name these. Can you give me the 5 schools in the Southeastern Conference that have never won a national championship in football?
Oh, man. Okay. Mississippi State.
Correct.
South Carolina.
Correct.
Vanderbilt.
Correct.
Kentucky.
Correct.
And I've got one more. All right.
One more.
It's going to be it's just a process of elimination. Arkansas. No, that's not right. Why can't this just come to my head right now? Missouri
Tigers. So,
Missouri.
So the last national championships for everybody in the SEC, obviously Georgia 2022, Bama 2020,
Yeah.
LSU 2019, Auburn
Yeah.
2010, the Gators 2008,
Uh-huh.
the Longhorns 2005, OU 2000, Tennessee 1998, Arkansas 1964, the Rebs 1960 under Johnny Vaught,
Yeah.
and the Aggies of A&M in 1939.
Well, look, the league has taken a lot of gotten a lot of attention for all these. I mean, look at what this league is doing right now. I mean, look at this, the baseball. 2017 Florida, 2018 should have been Arkansas. 2019 Vanderbilt. 2020 didn't have a champion because of COVID. And then 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, all SEC winners. And that's just baseball. But in football, you got Alabama with back-to-backs at 11 and 12. You got Georgia with back-to-backs, not here, they're not very, just here recently. I mean, Ohio State's won it once since 2014.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
would have won it. They would have won it if that guy could have kicked the field goal and Marvin Harrison doesn't get hurt, but they didn't. And Georgia got to play TCU in that fiasco. So,
Serta Pro
Ohio
Painters
State
of
would have
Gainesville
blown them out just as badly.
is the area's leader in painting excellence and proud partner of the Florida Gators, offering professional painting service for homes and businesses, plus cabinet refinishing and carpentry repairs. Go visit CertaPro.com for a free estimate. All right, JC, before we get to Mike Morgan, it's our time to do our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. It is the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. All right.
We're going to pick four. We're going to pick four golfers. A lot of the big boys are taking the week off.
Deservedly so.
So I'm going to pick first. I'm going to pick first since I finished highest last week with Ju Young Kim.
A great pick. And then the week before we had the winner as well. I mean, if people want to know who to bet on in golf, this is the segment for you. Go ahead.
Yep. And my first pick, I'm going to take Ju Young Kim.
Yeah. Well, I love that kid. I love it. I just wish he'd play a little faster. He's a really slow.
He is slow. He is slowed down.
He's a slow player, man. He's gonna have to pick it up for me. But I do think he's a really bright young player with a huge future. All right, I'm gonna go with this guy from South Africa or Zambia or wherever the hell it is that has played well here recently. Is kind of up there. His world ranking is 66, but this is the kind of guy that will compete in a tournament like this, and that would be one Eric Van Rooyen.
Oh, he wears the real tight jogger pants.
Yes.
Eric Van Rooyen. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm going to take an Englishman, Aaron Ray.
Good call. I'm going to go with a Scot who just got done winning his first tournament on tour with his dad on the bag and is getting ready to go to the British Open and the Scottish Open. That would be one Robert McIntyre, a lefty who is playing really well right now.
All right, I'm going to take a Georgia Bulldog. This is the kind of tournament he plays, these kind of guys. I'm going to take Chris Kirk.
Chris Kirk's a good name. Give me Cam Young. Shot a 59 last weekend. Had one bad hole on Sunday. Otherwise, he would have been a factor. But he is a birdie machine. This is the kind of course I think he destroys. So give me Cameron Young. He's still looking, QB. Can you believe this guy is still
He's never won.
Yeah. Too talented.
I'm going to take because I think he's got a cool name, Maverick McNeely.
Maverick McNeely. Yeah, young guy. And so we get four, right? So I get one more?
Yep.
Oh, one more. Man. This is really dipping deep here into the pool. Okay, so I've got Young, Van Rooyen, and give me Charlie Hoffman. I don't know. I mean,
Charlie Hoffman.
He's kind of popped around in these tournaments that just nobody's really watching, and here he is again.
All right, so recapping the Peachland Dental golf picks for the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit, I have Ju Young Kim, Chris Kirk, Aaron Ray, and Maverick McNeely.
Aaron Ray.
JC has Eric Van Rooyen, Bobby McIntyre, Cam Young, and Charlie Hoffman.
Yeah, good top 20 finish for Aaron Ray at the U.S. Open, and that's a name. Keep your eye on him.
All right, real quick. Andy wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. How do we think Charlie Wood's golf career will play out? Will Tiger's greatness be too much to live up to? Yeah. Look, I don't know enough about Charlie and how old he is. I will just tell you this: golf is so freaking hard.
It's
I mean, let's take Fred Biondi, who wins the national champion individual title last year. He is struggling with his game on the Corn Ferry. I mean, it is so hard.
so hard.
Charlie may not even make it.
Yeah. Well, one of the best golfers I've ever seen play around here is a guy named Tyson Alexander, and he is
Yeah,
he has
but
his card,
he struggles too.
He's a middle of the pack guy, and I don't even know if he's in the top 125 money list. So he'll probably have to qualify. He'll have to somehow keep his status by getting into the top 125 or winning a tournament. And it is, like you said,
yeah, and it's like, I mean, think about in Ocala, Ted Potter Jr. He's freaking unbelievable.
Great
but he
player.
can only get in certain tournaments. It's just,
that's right. He had one win.
I have so much respect for golfers because I don't think people that don't really play it understand how good these dudes are.
And speaking of good, this guy, of course, he's having the year of his life. But, QB, Scotty Scheffler, with all that he's done and the consistency that he has and the way he makes golf look so easy, you realize he's got 2 majors and he's only won the Masters twice, which means since he first won the Masters and before this year, he was 1-13 in the majors. I just found that to be interesting. That's all, because he's so damn consistent, so good.
Yeah, he's very good. All right, JC, have a good day. We'll talk to you on Friday. That's JC. Join us on the Tight Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll have the SEC Network's Mike Morgan. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Our Gridiron sponsors, CertaPro Painters, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're going to go back to the Tight Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and this dude is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. He is from the SEC Network, Mike Morgan. Good morning, Mike.
Dude. Good morning, Shane. How are you?
I'm good. Real quick, Tim says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Heupel won 11 and took over a horrible program in year 2. Give him credit, bro. Look, I think Josh is a good football coach. I didn't think Tennessee was very good last year. And it all because he chose Joe Milton as his quarterback. Now, they may be better this year with Nico, but we shall see. All right, Mike, we got a lot to touch on today.
Yes, we
Uh,
do.
let's start baseball.
Let's start there.
As I mentioned to JC, we talked about a lot this A&M deal. I saw on Twitter this morning that Kendall Rogers from D1 Sports said that this Schlossnagle to Texas deal happened before postseason play even started.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, this is the craziest thing ever. And I understand he's going to work for his old boss. Texas is like the premier job out there. But don't you have to just say, look, no comment right now after they lose the national title. How does he berate that kid or whoever it was that asked that question?
Yeah, I mean it almost feels like because we've seen this gone on for years in football and in some cases basketball. Remember Roy Williams? I can give a blank about North Carolina right now, and then guess what he did days later? He took North Carolina's job. So apparently he could give a blank about North Carolina to the point where he was clearly leaving Kansas. It's almost like coaches look at it as a must lie that like everybody knows that there's a good chance it's going to happen, but they just don't want to come out and say it. But you're right, Shane. It's fascinating on so many levels. And Kendall Rogers pointed out too, and some of his reporting that they don't just have a connection. Like they're supposedly like best of friends. You
Mhm.
know, I'm sure Kendall has figured that out through various sources and whatnot. I didn't know that. So when people were looking at this, I'm saying to myself, look, Texas is a great job, but so is Texas A&M. And like, why put yourself through that? It's one thing to go from TCU to Texas A&M. It's another thing to go from Texas A&M to Texas. It's the ultimate big brother, little brother smackdown on a face-off. And I was trying to think about this in a football context, Shane. Like, what are the biggest poaches in history? And, you know, Petrino, you had Jetgate. Twice he flirted with the Auburn job and got on planes and was clearly looking to go there. And it got exposed each time. And of course, he never wound up going to Auburn. Do you remember Tommy Tuberville going from Ole Miss to Auburn?
Yep.
Like, that would never happen today. Like, if Auburn called up Lane Kiffin, and I know Lane's been, you know, rumored and probably offered other jobs, I just can't see a high level SEC program losing a football coach to another high level SEC program. You know, Jerry DiNardo going from Vandy to LSU, that's another story. But this is I don't think we would see this in football or men's basketball a whole lot because every SEC school has got a bunch of money and they've all got great facilities. And I mean, here's the thing about Schlossnagle. A&M has never won a national title in baseball. He is already like a king in College Station. Texas has won a half a dozen national titles in baseball. And if he doesn't get to Omaha every other year, it's considered a flop. So, like, you left your own version of Camelot for a job now where, yeah, the press conference, you're going to hit a grand slam. But then after that, it's like, what have you done for me lately? Clearly, you can't just say it's money because Texas A&M's got plenty of money. They can match whatever Texas pays. This was a relationship move. And who knows? Here's the one X factor we never know, Shane. I don't know if Mrs. Schlossnagle prefers living in Austin than College Station. You know, I don't know if
Correct.
the kids are. You
Well,
never know the
she
family
may be
dynamic.
good. She may be good friends with the AD's wife for all
Well,
we
there
know.
you go. I mean, that's always the X factor we never know. But this to
Yeah.
me was not a money move. This to me was something deeper than that. And you're right, man. It's it's a when you leave one conference school for another, and it's an in-state rival to the level of Texas A&M. That's mad. I mean, it's like, could you imagine like Spurrier picking up the phone and leaving from Florida to Florida State in like 1999? Like it just
Mhm.
doesn't happen, but it happened here.
Yeah, it's crazy. One more thing with baseball. Your thoughts? Tennessee wins the national title, their first ever. Um, a lot of people don't like Tony Vitello. What are your thoughts on him?
I've gotten to know Tony fairly well, so I don't see the guy that's like pissing everybody off in the SEC. I just see a pretty nice guy who's the son of a legendary high school coach back in St. Louis. who paid his dues as an assistant coach before he got that job. He wanted the Missouri job. They passed him over. Oops. And he takes Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee hadn't been to a postseason in 14 years. 14 years, Shane. I would go up there and do games. There'd be like 1,000 people in the stands, no buzz, nothing. It was, for a time, you could argue, the worst job in the conference. And he's now taken them to 3 World Series in 4 years and a national championship. So he's got all my respect. I realize he likes playing the role. He likes wearing the black hat and being the cocky guy that everybody loves to hate. But I'm okay with it. He's got a little Lane Kiffin in him, quite frankly.
Well,
I'm okay
I compared him to Coach Spurrier.
Yes, that's a great, absolutely. Well, I mean, I compare Lane a little bit to Steve too. So I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think, look, I don't want just a bunch of robots coaching in the SEC. I want a little what I call a healthy hatred. I want a little cockiness and brashness. I mean, we got SEC Media Days coming up in a couple of weeks, Shane. I used to go to that every year and host my show there. I even went there for RUF back in the day. What coach are you really looking forward to at the podium that's really going to give you great material for your show? I mean, think about it. There's 16 coaches in the SEC. Can you name one of them where you're like, oh man, I got to see this? Like Spurrier, when you were there, you flocked to whatever. Is he in the radio room, the TV room, the print room? I got to hear what Steve's going to say. You just don't know. Even when Lou Holtz was at South Carolina, it's like, oh man, I got to hear Lou. Who do you get excited about right now?
Well, it's Lane. Everybody wants to see what Lane has to say.
And Eli, I would give Eli, who, by the way, Eli will tell you. I asked him once. I said, Eli, why do you wear a visor? Where'd that come from? He goes, that's from my man Spurrier. I grew up a Spurrier fan. So Eli's got a twinge of the old ball coach in him as well.
Yes, he does. Text here on the Titanamore text line. I'm not sure who it's from, but it says Doug Dickey from Tennessee to Florida is the closest to what happened in Texas.
Oh wow, there's a
blast from the past.
Yeah, haven't heard that name in a while, but yeah, it's a good one. I just don't think in today's climate you see much of that anymore. You don't see poaching of coaches within a league like the SEC, where almost everybody has everything. I just don't see.
Yeah, we got a couple of Facebook Lives I want to get to right here.
Yeah,
some questions regarding football. Shelvin says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, what if Florida loses to all 4 of the rivals this year, yet manages 7 wins? Does Billy get a 4th year? Absolutely, he will.
I mean,
I don't think Billy's going anywhere unless it's a total disaster.
Yeah. Well, then the question becomes, well, what's a total disaster, Shade? I don't. Everybody defines that differently, but 7-5 to me. Here's the thing too. Like we threw out these numbers. Not all 7-5s are the same. A 7-5. I heard your conversation with JC about DJ Lagway. And by the way, remember this number, and we can have fun with this throughout the football season, Shane. I know what your answer is going to be, and I'm curious what I bet you most people would go over on this. I'm going to set the unofficial Matthews Morgan over underline on snaps per game for Lagway, 4.5. 4.5. What do you think?
Oh, I'm definitely going under that.
Well, I figured that. I'll bet you most people are like, oh, over. 5-star kid. He's the future. He's the and I agree with you 100% and JC 100%, by the way. Like, you don't make personnel moves based on 2025 if you're Billy Napier. You do whatever the hell you have to do to win 7-8 games in 2024. And I promise you that's the thinking there. But the way I circle that all back to your question, or the listener's question, is if you go 7-5 and Lagway has some sparks and some other young players that are going to be the future, you can see the program trending. You can see it on the rise. Then, I mean, hell, then I think all of a sudden the fan base gets re-energized. If you go like 6-6 and you're looking at that team and you're seeing the same type of penalties and you're seeing some players, young players that are not doing a whole lot of, then all of a sudden you never know. Like it depends on how people feel at the end of the year. Like, what does this program look going forward? I don't think anybody believes 2024 is going to be an SEC championship team for the Florida Gators, right? Can we all agree on that? So,
Right.
but we also agree on it. This is a program, a prideful program, about that long ago was playing for national championships and SEC championships on the regular. So what does 2025, 2026 look like? What ray of sunshine comes out of 2024 where you say, okay, this is important and it'd be great to go 7-5, but I also want to see something that makes me feel like in 2025, when the Phil Steele college football guide comes out, people are talking about Florida as a true contender in the SEC.
Yes, and to piggyback on that, could Lagway have more than 4.5 plays? Yes. So my whole stance on this thing is, as a play caller or the guy in charge of the offense, you cannot put a player into the game, especially at the quarterback position, if you don't trust him,
Yeah.
knowing what to do in all situations. Now, we can put him in there, turn around, hand off to Montrell Johnson, but that's not getting experience.
Right.
Getting experience is actually running the offense. Now, if he progresses and they're comfortable with it, I'm fine with it. But I am so against just putting a dude in there because he was a 5-star quarterback. We need to look. They didn't do that with Eli Manning, not Eli Manning,
Arch.
Arch Manning.
Arch's going to be on the bench for a second straight year.
Yes, they just don't put people in there just to put them in there. So
no, but you know how it's changed, Shane, is that you remember, like, there was a time where Daniel Werfel redshirted. Bobby Bowden, you didn't start till your redshirt junior year. That's the way it worked for Charlie Ward and others. That was the norm. An 18-year-old, 19-year-old quarterback, true freshman, you didn't play. You just redshirted. But now the feeling is, no. We want to get that clock started as soon as we can. We want to be out of here in 3 years. And all these kids think they're going to play right away and insist on it. And so it's a little more pressure, I think, in this day and age, Shane, for the coaches to resist that. I was thinking about this too. People talk about Tim Tebow. Tebow was that's a unicorn where you're just sitting there and you're powering them up the middle, and that's not what the DJ Lagway is going to come in the game for. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see that being the MO of DJ Lagway. Like, okay, sprint draw. Mm-hmm. But how many teams use a package successfully with two quarterbacks? Like, if you think of the championship teams the last few years, how many of them go out of their way to have a B package for the second string quarterback where every game he's going to play? Again, I'll use my number, 4.5. He's going to play 4 or 5 snaps. I can't think of many anymore. Can't think of many teams that do that. So it's easy to say, oh, we'll just give him some snaps every game. It's a little harder to apply it in big-time football games, which Florida has plenty on the schedule.
Yeah, it's too risky, and it's all about situation. What's the score of the game? When are we planning on putting him in? This may be your series, but now we just fielded a punt on the 4-yard line. You do not want to put him backed up. I'm just totally against it. Justin's question on Facebook Live it's YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. QB, do you think Mullen, with a decent NIL collective and with players now being paid, would have had long-term success here? Look, I think Dan Mullen's a tremendous play caller. But he does not recruit as well as Billy Napier. I can promise you that. Justin also says Lagway's best method for development is shadowing a mature veteran QB like Mertz. Agreed. He doesn't need to be inserted to throw incomplete or ruin the rhythm of the offense. Agree 100%. So we'll see. Mark says the problem is they're paying him and the boosters want to return on their money ASAP. Well, we're paying Mertz too. Okay,
yeah, that's true. Everybody's getting paid.
Yes.
You can't look at it like that. But I understand if I was cutting the check, maybe I would, but you can't look at it like that. Yeah.
So back to the Gator football, you were talking about, 7-5, 6-6. I'm sure people ask you all the time, Mike, your predictions. I predicted us to win 8 games last year. I still think we could have.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the best team he's had. I know the schedule's hard, but I don't care. I look at the schedule and only say there's two teams on there that I'm really not sure the Gators can beat, no matter what, and that's the Texas Longhorns in Austin and the Georgia Bulldogs. I think
Right.
everybody else is beatable. We get Ole Miss here late in the year. Who knows what kind of team they're going to have? If for whatever reason they struggle, they got so many new players, they could have fights in the locker room. Who knows?
Right.
Jackson Dart goes down. He may not be playing here. I don't know. So LSU comes here. I think people forget how difficult it is to play in the swamp. And I go back to, and I can't tell if I had a quarter or a nickel, we got to do that. People, did you not watch the Gators last year? We were historically pathetic on defense. If we can just be average, I think you win more games.
Well, 100%. I mean, we could relive the litany of things that were not good about last year's team. Defense would be top of the charts. They're just woeful. Like at some point, you'd like to see Florida get back to the point where you just got dogs out there that you were used to seeing not that long ago. Again, it wasn't ancient history where you looked at a Florida defense and you said, "My God, NFL, first round corner, first round linebacker, hellraiser off the edge." Like that was just common. You just expected it. And clearly that hasn't been the case. And usually to me, when you have that, some of it's coaching, obviously. And I know like the whole Grantham thing. You remember when that was like the number one story? It's Grantham, third and Grantham, and all the blitzes. But at the end of the day, to me, it was more about personnel. Like they need to get better players, and that's why Billy came. That's why Billy was brought. I mean, obviously the background and the pedigree in terms of coaching speaks for itself, but they needed to upgrade talent, and that's clearly the goal, and that's clearly the mission. And if you've got elite talent on defense, I'm not saying coaching doesn't matter. But shoot, it's pretty hard to screw it up when you've got first rounders all over the place every year, like Alabama and Georgia do. Like if you got those type of, and one more thing on the schedule. I'm not saying the schedule isn't rough. It is rough, but like you're in the SEC now. Texas and Oklahoma are in this league now. Everybody's schedule is tough to some degree. Like Georgia's got to go. Think about this, Shane. Georgia's got to go at Bama, at Texas, at Ole Miss. You don't think that's a tough schedule? I mean, I think they lose two of those. I think Georgia actually is going to lose 2 games this year. I'm probably in the minority on that. But so enough about the schedule. Like if you beat Miami and you look at those first 5 games, I think Florida has a chance to go on a very good start. It's the back end that's brutal, but beat Miami and the first half of the schedule will take care of itself. And then, to me, in a lot of ways, the season starts, assuming you beat Miami, the season starts in Knoxville. That's when you really are going to find out. You're just talking about Josh Heupel, and are we bullish on Tennessee football in year 3? Like you had a gift in Hendon Hooker. Nobody knew how good that kid was going to be. He was about the arm talent was ridiculous before he got hurt that year. And then last year, they clearly took a step back with Joe Milton, who still can't hit the broadside of a barn. And this year, we'll see how good Nico is. I mean, we've been hearing about this kid for 3 years and the price tag and everything else. He had a great performance in a bowl game. Now let's see what he does over a 12-game slate.
Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. A few more minutes with Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. Van Der wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. Shane, what if DJ clearly outplays Mertz in practice? Then what happens? It ain't going to happen.
You're going to get these questions for the next 2 months.
I can just tell you, he is nowhere near the quarterback that Mertz is right now, and it will not happen in the month they're in training camp. Trust me on that. All right. Basketball question. Andy asked, Mike, who do you think will have the most productive NBA career? Reed Shepherd, Donovan Clingan, or Dalton Knecht?
Ooh, what a great question. All first rounders, all SEC guys. Seen them all in person. I tell you, the guy who's rising the most out of that group, like Klingon was already top 5. He's an athletic 7-foot whatever who at bare minimum is going to protect the rim, block shots. I don't know if his offensive game is outstanding, but in the NBA, no offenses go through the 5 anymore anyway, unless you're Philadelphia. The guy who's moving up the most is Reed Shepherd. People are like, this guy right now is already an elite shooter. He plays good defense. He can handle the ball, what have you. The guy whose game I like the most for the next level is Dalton Connect. Yeah. So I'll go Dalton Connect. I think Dalton Connect could be a 20-point scorer very quickly in the league, given on the right team. So much of that is where you're drafted, and is the offense going to run through you, or are you just a side piece to the puzzle? But Dalton Connect, to me, offensively, I can't defend worth a lick, but some would say neither can Luka, neither can some other guys. But Dalton Connect, in terms of just a bucket getter and a wiry 6'6" frame, athletic, shot is pure, I'd go Dalton Connect.
Yeah, he's a good one for sure. Justin says game 1 is always dicey. You never know which team will be ready. Florida could lose game 1 to Miami and still be a good team, but the negativity we overwhelm. Yeah, look, I think we'll be ready to play. And I've said this, I feel like daily on my show. Cam Ward is the reason people are Ohio Miami. He's very talented. He's played at Incarnate Word, and he's played at Washington State.
Right.
He has not played in the swamp, and he never will. That is he's never been in an environment like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people forget that because it can cause problems for quarterbacks. I mean, just think about the quarterbacks that have come into that arena and not played great.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of people are very high on their defensive line as well. Like, it's not all Cam Ward. There is a hype train out there for Miami this year that, I'll be honest, has me scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, too. I don't understand it.
They think they're going to be closer to a nasty defense than they've been in a while. And I think the feeling is, okay, they just haven't had a good quarterback. Although Van Dyke a few years ago, like, people were loving on Van Dyke. And now he's at Wisconsin. But I'm with you. I'm not so giddy about Cam Ward that I think, he's just going to go in and light it up. But Florida's defensively, no matter where the game is played, like you pointed out at the top, I mean, they just got to be better, Shane.
That's the key. That's the key to the whole season.
Absolutely. Because you can't put all that pressure on Graham Mertz and, Wilson, and you lose Pearsall, who was so good last year. You can't put pressure on that offense like, just give us 35 a game and we'll get you some dubs. Like, no, you got to have some nastiness in your defense again.
We had 3 interceptions in the entire season. I mean, think about that.
That's almost impossible.
Yes.
To not in 12 games, 3 picks.
And a lot of it has to do because we can't pressure the quarterback and force him to make bad decisions.
100%.
So it's the front 7 to me. I say it every year. It seems like I'm a broken record. But we have not had an SEC front 7 since I don't know when.
And why? But why is that, Shane?
Yeah, well,
there's plenty of dudes in the state of Florida.
Yeah, they made some additions to the portal, so hopefully that helps this year. Mike, good stuff as always. We appreciate your time, my man. Have a great week.
Enjoyed it, man. You got it. Same to you.
That's Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. Join us on the Titan Number hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. He's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is looking for enthusiastic, motivated comfort specialists to join their team with a $1,000 sign-in bonus. After 90 days, awesome benefits and the opportunity to grow with the winning team. Apply today at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Again, thanks to Mike Morgan and JC. Have a good day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.